Emperor Zexthal of the Valdorian Empire stood on the observation deck of his personal dreadnought, the cosmic supremacy, watching Earth rotate slowly before his conquest fleet. The primitive blue world represented everything wrong with galactic politics, a barely spacefaring species that had somehow been granted representation in the Galactic Council simply because they had achieved faster-than-light travel. Status report. He commanded his fleet admiral, Korthara, whose scaled hide bore the scars of a dozen successful planetary conquests. Complete tactical superiority. Your Imperial Majesty, Korthara reported with satisfaction. 200 vessels of the Imperial First Fleet against. Approximately 15 human ships currently in orbit around their homeworld. Their largest vessel appears to be a converted cargo hauler. Emperor Zexthal's mandibles clicked in amusement. 15 ships. The humans truly believe they can stand against the might of an empire that has conquered 67 star systems? The Valdorian Empire had been expanding unchecked for centuries, absorbing weaker species through a combination of overwhelming military force and technological superiority. Their arrival at Earth represented the culmination of a year-long campaign to demonstrate to the Galactic Council that humanity was unworthy of independent status. Your Majesty, reported Communications Officer Veltara, we're receiving a transmission from the human orbital station. They're requesting negotiations. The bridge erupted in harmonious laughter from the Valdorian crew. The idea that humans would attempt to negotiate with an invasion fleet was exactly the sort of pathetic behavior that proved their unfitness for galactic society. Put them through, Emperor Zexthal commanded. Let's hear what the primitive humans have to say. The holographic display activated, showing a middle-aged human woman in what appeared to be a simple military uniform. Her nameplate read Admiral Sarah Chen, and her expression was remarkably calm for someone facing imminent conquest. Emperor Zexthal, Admiral Chen began. I'm Admiral Chen of Earth Defense Command. I understand you've come to demonstrate Valdorian military superiority. Indeed, Zexthal replied condescendingly. Admiral, your species has pretended to be equals in galactic affairs for too long. Today, we will demonstrate why only the strong deserve to rule the stars. Admiral Chen nodded thoughtfully. Emperor, before we begin hostilities, I feel obligated to ask, have you conducted thorough reconnaissance of this system? The question was so absurd that Fleet Admiral Korthara answered before the Emperor could speak. Human, we have been observing your pathetic defenses for months. 15 antiquated vessels against the Imperial First Fleet. This will be over in minutes. 15 vessels, Admiral Chen repeated, as if confirming the number. And you're confident in your tactical assessment? Admiral, Emperor Zexthal said with growing irritation. Surrender now, and your species will be granted the privilege of serving the Empire as a client race. Continue this charade, and we will demonstrate why 47 species have learned to fear Valdorian displeasure. Admiral Chen's expression remained professional, but something in her eyes shifted. Emperor, I appreciate the offer, but I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding about our defensive capabilities. She activated her command console. All ships, this is Admiral Chen. Authorization, Nemesis Protocol 7. Decloak and assume combat positions. What happened next redefined the Valdorian understanding of warfare. The space around Earth's orbital zone, which had appeared empty except for the 15 visible human ships, suddenly filled with vessels. Not dozens, hundreds. Sleek, angular warships that seemed to emerge from the void itself, their hulls shimmering as advanced stealth systems disengaged. Impossible, Fleet Admiral Korthara breathed, staring at sensor readings that showed impossible signatures. Our sensors detected no additional vessels. Where did they come from? Admiral Chen's smile was politely professional. Admiral, Human stealth technology operates on principles that most species haven't discovered yet. We've been developing it for quite some time. The tactical display aboard the Cosmic Supremacy told a story that terrified the Valdorian command staff. What they had assumed was an undefended system was actually a fortress bristling with hidden defenses. Orbital weapons platforms that had been invisible to their sensors, fighter squadrons that had been hiding in stealth formations, and capital ships that defied every assumption about human technological capability. 200 Valdorian vessels, Admiral Chen observed, reviewing her own tactical data, against 437 ships of the sole defense fleet. Emperor, I have to ask, did you really think Earth would remain undefended while your fleet spent months approaching our system? Emperor Zex Thul felt something he hadn't experienced in decades of conquest, uncertainty. Admiral, this is impossible. Our intelligence networks are perfect. No species has been able to hide military assets from Valdorian reconnaissance. Your intelligence networks, Admiral Chen replied, have been observing exactly what we wanted you to see. Every sensor sweep, every reconnaissance probe, every intelligence-gathering operation, we've been aware of them all and carefully managing what information you received. The implications were staggering. While the Valdorians had been planning their conquest based on deliberately misleading intelligence, the humans had been preparing for war with complete knowledge of Valdorian capabilities. The stealth technology alone, whispered sensor operator Kexavara, operates on principles our scientists haven't even theorized. How do you hide entire fleets from gravitational detection? Admiral Chen gestured to her tactical display. We don't hide from gravitational detection. We operate in dimensional spaces adjacent to normal reality. Your sensors can't detect what exists in parallel dimensional frameworks. Fleet Admiral Korthara was staring at readings that showed human weapons operating on energy scales that shouldn't have been possible for a species barely 2 centuries into space travel. Admiral, the power signatures we're detecting from your vessels, they exceed anything in the Valdorian arsenal. Admiral Chen replied matter-of-factly, humanity has been preparing for potential alien hostility since we first detected your empire's expansion patterns 50 years ago. We had hoped diplomacy would make such preparations unnecessary. Emperor Zex Thul realized he was facing something unprecedented in Valdorian military history, a species that had successfully deceived one of the galaxy's most sophisticated intelligence services for decades. Admiral Chen, he said, his voice lacking its earlier confidence. What are your terms? Terms? Admiral Chen looked genuinely surprised. Emperor, you came here to conquer Earth. We're simply demonstrating why that was a poor strategic decision. A new voice joined the transmission fleet, Admiral Marcus Webb, aboard the human dreadnought Invisible Hand, a vessel that hadn't appeared on any Valdorian sensor until 30 seconds earlier. Emperor Zex Thul, Admiral Webb announced, your fleet is now completely surrounded by sole defense forces. Our weapons are locked onto every Valdorian vessel. You have exactly 10 minutes to begin your withdrawal from this system. And if we refuse, Emperor Zex Thul demanded, though his question lacked conviction. Admiral Chen's professional demeanor never wavered. Emperor, you spent months planning this demonstration of Valdorian superiority. We've spent 50 years preparing for it. The choice is yours, but I would recommend against testing human defensive capabilities further. The tactical reality was undeniable. The Valdorian First Fleet, pride of an empire that had never known defeat, was completely outmaneuvered by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Human stealth technology had turned what appeared to be a simple conquest into a perfectly orchestrated trap. All vessels, Emperor Zex Thul announced over the Valdorian fleet network, begin immediate withdrawal from the Sol system. As the Valdorian ships engaged their hyperdrives and fled, Admiral Chen transmitted one final message. Emperor, when you report to the Galactic Council about today's events, please be sure to mention that Earth's defensive posture is entirely non-aggressive. We only reveal our capabilities when threatened with conquest. The Valdorian Empire learned that day that appearance and reality were not the same thing. The species they had mocked as defenseless had been quietly preparing for war while hoping never to use their preparations. The galaxy's understanding of human military capability would never be the same. And somewhere in the depths of space, 437 human warships cloaked themselves once again, returning to their patient watch over Earth, invisible guardians of a species that preferred peace but had never forgotten how to fight.